I hold in my hand what is probably the rarest horn I've ever touched. This is one of the original Alexander Heldenhorns. You just heard me play the opening call from Strauss's Ein Heldenleben. Helden means hero. So literally this horn means in German hero horn or hero's horn. This horn is extremely rare. It's one of the, what Alexander says there's only 12 in the world. If you look up this model from Alexander on their website, they say that the original horns, there's only 12 of them. This one's actually the 12th one made. I'll talk about that in a second here. But an extremely rare horn, very valuable horn. I'm fortunate to have come across it. Very grateful for the opportunity to play on and fix this horn up some. Really has been a fun project. This horn was originally designed by Milan Jancic. He was one of the Chicago Symphony horn players. He also taught at Eastman. In the 70s, he paired up with Alexander, the Alexander Company in Germany, to make this horn. And this was Alexander's first Geyer style horn. As you can see, it's a Geyer instrument. And it was a copy of the Geyer design, Carl Geyer design, but it was to Milan Jancic's specifications, had all of his tapers and stuff like that. You may know that Alexander also made the MY Cup mouthpiece. MY stands for Milan Jancic. He actually made that mouthpiece line to go with his horn. In all, between 12 and 30 of these horns was made. The Alexander Company actually says it was only 12, but different sources say different things. I like to go with what Alexander says and say there's only 12 in the world. And this is number 12, which is really cool. This horn is outfitted with a Dan Rao lead pipe and has also had a cut bell, and Chuck Ward rebuilt the valves a few years ago. So this horn's had some work done to it, but it's in really, really amazing shape. And I'm going to show you around this horn. It's a really, really rare horn, and it's got some design features that are pretty unique. So let's hear a little bit more of this horn being played, and then I'm going to take you to the shop, give you a window into actually when I was working on this horn. Earlier this past week, I was working on it and recorded that, and then show you some of the design things, some of the things I've learned actually talking to people researching this horn. So here's a little bit more of Heldenleben, the first horn part, just before measure 78. So I'm here taking the Heldenhorn apart on my shop bench here. There's some things to note about this horn's construction. First of all, it's all brass, and it's got the silver highlights. I actually love this kind of color of horn, having the brass slide ends, the brass slides, the brass ferrules, right? I really like that. But then we have silver braces everywhere, right? And we've got a silver ferrule right here. The lead pipe is not stock. It's a Dan Rauch lead pipe, actually an R1. You can see that. So very nice lead pipe here. So I'm not really looking at that design-wise, but I really like these slide ends here, the outer slide ends, silver colored, very, very beautiful. You can see them on the top of the horn here. And then, of course, silver or nickel kind of action, valve action here, paddles, really, really good look to this horn. I love how it looks. One interesting note on the Heldenhorn, a lot of Geyer horns are going to have a smaller change valve. I'm going to just take you over to my Geyer horn that's over here. This is just a Con 10D, nothing at all exciting, and actually it's parts horn because it has bad valves, but you can see this is more of a traditional, like, smaller change valve than the rest. On the Heldenhorn, this is actually the same size. So that is like one of the distinguishing features. When I saw this horn pop up for sale, I knew it was a Heldenhorn. One of the reasons was because of this. I had a good tip off there. A couple other things to note. A lot of Geyer horns will have this part right here soldered directly to the horn. This is braced off. That's an interesting thing. Same with the lead pipe. Now, I think this is how it came from the factory too, but you've got it braced off, not soldered on. So that's an interesting thing. That's pretty cool. Now, I do have actually the original lead pipe, and I want to look at this. The person who sold it to me did say this is the original lead pipe. You do not have a sleeve here. It goes straight up to the tip here, and then you've got the receiver. So that's kind of a cool thing. Some things I want to do to the horn while it's here in the shop. I think this blue thing here looks tacky. I do think this is almost certainly an aftermarket water key. That looks a little tacky, not appropriate to this horn. And these solder joints could use a little extra cleanup. So I'm just gonna go ahead and clean that up. Obviously, like when the lead pipe was redone, some work has been done in this area of the horn. So I'm going to clean that up. The Heldenhorn all torn down and completely cleaned. So this horn's ready to go back together. As you can see, I actually went ahead and polished this horn. I'm really excited to show you the end result here. So here's like unpolished slides. Here is the polished horn. Very, very beautiful. So, okay, now I'm going to take the opportunity while this horn's apart to actually show you a few things. One of which is the fact that this horn has a serial number, okay? 32760, okay? There it is. Now, you may be wondering, why does this have a serial number? Because Alexander horns from this era did not have a serial number. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just say I'm pretty sure, 90% sure, this was added post-production after it was sold, probably for insurance purposes, something like that. I do not believe that is original to the horn, but it is there, okay? And I could be wrong about that. If I'm wrong about that, please let me know in the comments what you think. Now, another thing I do want to point out that I think is interesting is the fact that number 12 shows up all over this horn. 12, 12, 12, 12 on the inside of the valve caps, okay? Let's see, 12 there on the bottom of the valve. 12 there on the bottom of the valve. You can't really see it in the lighting here, but it's there right here. 12 on the bottom of all the valves. Number 12 is there. Number 12, okay, on the bottom of the finger paddles. Number 12. All of the finger paddles have that. The thumb valve does not. On the finger paddle bracket. Number 12 right there. So apparently, from what I was told by a Facebook user, that is actually telling you what number in production that the horn is. So that's what they did for the Heldenhorns. I only have Facebook user confirmation of this, but I'm pretty sure this is probably accurate. I did hear it several different places. Here's another spot inside of the valve caps. 12. Okay. So this, I'm assuming this means that this is number 12. Now, if you've read on the Heldenhorn or anything like that, you'll probably read Alexander themselves actually say they only made about a dozen or 12 of these horns. There's different sources out there. Some say up to 30. Some say only 12 of them. But according to Alexander, only 12 were made. So if that's true, this actually is the very last Heldenhorn ever made. So that's really cool. Now with this horn apart, I can show you several different things about this particular instrument. First of all, here's our valves, okay? They're obviously nickel silver plated, and I happen to know Chuck Ward and texted him about this, and he said that he actually did rebuild this particular horn. So that's a Chuck Ward valve rebuild. Of course, they are solid brass, but he plated the valves. That's awesome. And this horn does have excellent valve compression. Another thing I noticed is, okay, so here's my second valve slide F side. Here's my, F side. Here's my first valve slide B flat slide. Okay, and you can see the design on these braces is different. And I'll show you this in the horn later, but pretty sure this is aftermarket. This matches the design of a bunch of the bracing on the horn. Okay, this looks aftermarket, although extremely well done. So I do think that's probably aftermarket, but a nice addition if you like that kind of thing. Okay, of course you have the Rauch R1 lead pipe on this. You see R1. Okay, interesting note. So obviously this is not original to the horn. This lead pipe's original to the horn. I am going to, send it with horn when I sell it, just so you know. But this actually, you can kind of see this in the video. It's a little bit of a darker brass, so I think that's nice. My guess is that this would resist corrosion. It's a rose brassish kind of thing. So anyways, with the valves out and stuff, you can actually see this is quite the horn. Now, interestingly, this horn has the 4 different ports, as you can see. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 4 sides. Oftentimes on a Geier horn, there will be 2, actually just learned this, there will be 2 ports here. And again, I'm just gonna step over to my Contendi here, my parts horn, and show you that. You have the ports, 2 ports coming out here. You can only see 3 ports from the top end. Now, of course, there's the same number of ports, you just have the one underneath. But on my Heldenhorn, this is actually coming out at a different spot. Instead of being straight on, it's off to the side. And this bottom one, which is also coming straight out here, is off to the side. So it's got that kind of valve. It's got a cut bell. 99% sure that is also aftermarket, but it is Alexander threads and extremely well done. So that is a great thing. I'm gonna go ahead and polish this horn some more. While I'm at it, I want to kind of make a shout out for what's becoming my favorite polish for horns, and that is Flitz. There's a lot of people who use Brasso. I've tried Wright's Copper Cream, and this might be good for some things. But my favorite overall, I think, is Flitz. Now, I don't feel any abrasion in this. I'm told that it is very, very, very slightly abrasive, and that's why it gives such a fine polish. Not sure, but like this stuff, like I use a microfiber cloth, right? Because that's real soft and gentle. This stuff will go so long. Like I need to get this spot right here. I can just put like a little dab, like just the tiniest dab ever on that. Take my microfiber cloth, okay, and just work that in. And it polishes it so well. It's almost insane. Like, and that little tiny dab will get this whole area polished up without an issue. Okay. So, and polishing, by the way, is hard work, but totally rewarding if you do it right. So, and then I just shine it up with microfiber, and like that little spot's gone. I'll show you on a slide here. Go ahead and wipe this off here just in case there's any grease, because I don't want to work that in there. But like here's a slide that I need to polish. Just a little tiny dab like that will absolutely polish this entire slide up. It's amazing to me. So I'll take my microfiber, okay. I'm using kind of the corners to polish with, in the center of it to kind of really make it shine. Just like that, you can, there we go, you can get it in the camera. I'm just polishing this up. It was just this tiny little bit that I dabbed on there, and it shines like it's brand new, like as soon as I'm done. So like if you polish or want a good polish for your horn, this stuff's really easy. Just get a good microfiber cloth and some Flitz polish and go at it. And I can polish a slide like this one in just a couple of minutes, and it goes, you know, from a dull, you know, unlacquered look to a real shine. So nice. So nice. Beautiful, beautiful. So just so you can see the difference, here's the polished slide, here's the not polished slide. Just a little bit of work with the flits, and man, it just shines so nice. I do think the microfiber cloths do the best job of polishing up. So that is a note to make, but man, this stuff shines up so beautifully. I love flits. I'm gonna go ahead and polish the rest of this horn up here. And here it is, all polished up. Really, really beautiful, beautiful horn. Of course, it's showing that it's been well loved and played with a few dings and dents here and there. Some dent repairs happened here. You've got in the bell flare, there's a few little creases and stuff, but really, really not bad at all. This horn's in awesome shape. The valves, of course, with the Chuck Ward rebuild, have great compression. Now, I did just find one other issue. You can see I can actually move this slide quite a bit. And if you zoom right in here, you can see this little brace right here has separated from the horn. Now, this is a pretty easy fix, I think. I'm going to go ahead and take care of that really quickly. I thought you all might want to see a close-up of this. So this is the brace right here that we're working on. And as you can see, like, I can move this entire slide. I can use the slide here, and this part of the horn, this outer slide casing, will actually move up and down, telling you that there's broken. And I can see actually that it's the top, not the bottom, that's broken. So go ahead and clean the area up. Okay, this is actually a somewhat challenging spot to get at. Okay, but I want to heat it up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to take my flux. Put a very small dab of flux right there, and the heat actually will draw it into where it needs to go. Yep, just like that. Okay. In this case, I'm not going to use much solder at all. I only want to make this work. So I'm going to grab my hammer. I'm going to hammer because I'm using so little right here, so little solder, I'm actually going to flatten this end with a hammer. So I just flattened the end here with a hammer. And that's going to allow me to get right in there. Head and heat the area up. Just put a dab of solder right there. I'd like to get it hot enough to where I can just touch the solder to the spot. A little more flux where it needs to go. And hopefully a little bit of that solder, just enough, got in there. I'll wipe this down. And as you can see, this always leaves just a tiny bit of solder residue here. This is a wet rag. I'm just wiping down here to cool it off. And last thing I'm going to do to clean this up is I've just got very, very, very fine sandpaper. I'm going to very lightly sand down the area to get that solder off. Just like this, you can see it kind of gives it a matte finish. Okay. One of my favorite tools is actually the edge of a clothespin, so I can just get in there and use it. And wood's not going to damage brass, right? Because it's softer. So I just like to get in here with one of these. Use it to really clean it up. Can wrap this around. Just like that. And the last step, I always use a Dremel with a buffing wheel. Just very carefully buff this out here. Just like that. Polishes right up. And just like that, you can see this is much more solid. I am going to rinse this down. Need to make sure this flux is completely gone because I don't want it eating into the metal. Right? That would be bad. There we go. You can see this turned out really nicely. I'm going to bring the camera around here. You can see some streaks from the water, but that's it. But much more solid, right? So I'm really happy with that and how it turned out. So I'm going to go ahead and equalize this flux, and then I'm going to go ahead and keep looking for any more issues on this horn, but then finish up this video here. So here we go, an original Alexander Heldenhorn, the 12th original Alexander Heldenhorn, the last original Alexander Heldenhorn. Really cool horn here. I'm so privileged to have been able to have this horn here in the shop. If you're interested, check out my business, my website at boydsbrass.com. I do sell used French horns. I offer cleaning services and some repair services here in the Phoenix, Arizona area. If you have any questions, feel free to write me there at boydsbrass.com on the contact page. Check out the horns I have for sale. This one actually will be for sale soon. I'll be selling this Heldenhorn, so if you want to buy a rare gem, you can do that there. Feel free to comment, like, subscribe. Would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. Always fun making these videos, and hope to see you next time. Happy horning.